as we mentioned, tonight is, of course, the season opener for the 2024 NFL season, and we have a rematch of the AFC Championship game from last year between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, last year, it was the Chiefs coming out on top in what was a bit of a defensive matchup, but I do feel like there is a strong possibility that we could see this game sort of go in a different direction in terms of both teams having a little bit more firepower offensively and both teams losing some key players on the defensive side of the ball. We'll start with, of course, the reigning champion Kansas City Chiefs. They last year were doubted for a lot of the season because of the fact that their offense lacked that dynamicism that we saw for many years with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Last year, Kelce was a little bit more limited during the regular season, whether it was him just trying to save himself for the playoffs. And I also think that a very real part of it was the fact that he is now older. It was his age 34 season last year. It looked like he maybe lost half a step. Now, obviously, the playoffs would say otherwise, as he was excellent then. But I think that ultimately, when we're looking at what type of production you can get from Kelce moving forward, I think it's going to be more limited in the regular season. And how did the Chiefs adjust to that? They went out and they added some additional playmakers on the perimeter. They were able to draft wide receiver Xavier Worthy with their first-round pick this year. Worthy is somebody that for a while was sort of mocked to the Chiefs for the fact that he has a little bit of Tyreek Hill to him, specifically the younger Tyreek Hill, before I think that Hill really developed as a savant of the game from an IQ standpoint as well. When he stepped foot in the league, he was a burner, and that's exactly what Xavier Worthy is. He was able to break the NFL Combine 40-yard dash record, and he showed on the field as well during his time at Texas that, yeah, no doubt he is a burner. So that's somebody that the Chiefs are hoping they can stretch the field a little bit more with Worthy. Last year, they lacked the presence of explosive plays throughout, and Patrick Mahomes is more than capable of putting together methodical drives, but at least keeping the opposing defense disciplined and forcing them, I should say, to play a little bit further back in the secondary, not give opposing teams the opportunity to crowd the line of scrimmage quite as much. So Worthy could definitely be in for a big rookie season. And then they also made the move to sign free agent wide receiver Hollywood Brown, another player that we know if there's one thing he can do, it is run fast. So there are these speed receiver options on the perimeter to complement what was a very promising rookie season from Rashee Rice last year, and Rice is hoping to be a little bit more of the intermediate game and be able to, just be the more reliable hands and be in the right places receiver. Plus they have these extra weapons on the outside to be able to, provide different types of looks for the Chiefs is going to be massive. This could be a year that we see the Chiefs lean more heavily into the run game as well. Isaiah Pacheco has been very impressive since really coming along with the Chiefs. One of the more fun running backs in the league, in my opinion. So again, the Chiefs, I do think, should take a step forward this year. Last year, reached new lows in terms of relative speaking here. New lows for the Chiefs offense is not the lows of other NFL teams, but in terms of scoring offense, it was the first time I believe they were outside of the top 10 during the Patrick Mahomes tenure in Kansas City. So ultimately, I think we'll see some steps forward there. On the Ravens side, it's more about just adding that more reliable running back because they've had a number of different players over the course of the past couple seasons. Last year, we did see some flashes from rookie running back Keaton Mitchell before he ended up getting injured for the second half of the season. They were more so relying on the likes of Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, J.K. Dobbins as well, even though he was also dealing with injuries. That as much as, there are some talented players in there, versatile as well, being able to be a part of the running and passing game, they were lacking the real bruiser in the middle, and that's where they decide to make the move to sign Derrick Henry to a free agent contract, and you put together a backfield that has Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. That is nightmare fuel for opposing defensive coordinators, considering the fact that the Ravens were already last year the number one rushing offense by a significant margin, and it only got more difficult. It is going to be, in my opinion, more difficult to stop the run of the Ravens this upcoming season. But like I mentioned, it's not just that both of these teams got better on offense from when they last met in the AFC Championship game. Some key losses on both sides where the Chiefs ended up having to trade L'Jarius Sneed, their number one cornerback, one of the best corners in the game. So now he's in Tennessee. The Ravens had to let Patrick Queen walk in free agency, one of their starting linebackers from last year. Both of these players make a massive difference. I think the Chiefs are more impacted by the departure than the Ravens are for Queen, considering the fact that the Ravens have 3 stars at each level, in my opinion, of that defense. Justin Madubuike up front. They still have Roquan Smith at linebacker, and Kyle Hamilton, in my opinion, is the best safety in the NFL. So ultimately, I think that the Ravens defense is still going to be really good from a talent perspective, but that being said, they did also notably lose defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald, who was hired as a head coach in Seattle, known as one of the bright defensive minds in the NFL, took some key assistants with him as well, so it could potentially take a little bit of time for this defense to really fully reestablish themselves. But either way, these are 2 of the top contenders in the NFL. I think when you look at this matchup last year, both of these teams, great defenses, a little bit more susceptible in the run, which would sort of favor, in this type of a situation, the Ravens. Now, ultimately, that was the case last year, and that didn't end up taking place. That was a bit of, in my opinion, a misplay from Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator of the Ravens, and the overall process of how they went about that game and their approach. But even still, I do think that with both of these teams, we are going to see some really impressive quarterbacks, 2 of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, working against some stellar defenses. Now, some other things to take into consideration as well. We mentioned that the run game is going to be prominent. And I think that one of the biggest things for me, and especially when we are looking at the Chiefs who are hoping to three-peat this season, is they have one sort of key change on the offensive line. That is that their second-round pick from this past season, Kingsley Suamataia, he is now the starting left tackle for Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs team, which obviously, you talk about Mahomes, the Chiefs need to do everything they possibly can to protect him. He's more than fine at improvising and keeping himself safe as well, but now knowing that you have a rookie blindside tackle for Mahomes, that is going to be a really big deal. Everybody's eyes are on Xavier Worthy for the Chiefs coming from the 2024 draft class, but Suamataia is going to be the most important rookie for the Chiefs, hand down in my opinion, because they already have other options as pass catchers with Travis Kelce, with Rashee Rice, and Hollywood Brown that ultimately, if it takes Xavier Worthy a little bit of time to develop, I don't think that that is crippling for the Chiefs, but the offensive line has underratedly been a huge strength of the Chiefs the past few seasons, and I think it has a great opportunity to be so once again. They're also getting Joe Thuney back, their starting offensive guard who missed the Super Bowl last year, so the ground and pound game is going to be important in this game, and just the overall play of that offensive line moving forward here for the Chiefs is going to be massively important. And while we're on the topic of rookies on the other end, with the Baltimore Ravens, they decided to use their first round pick on former Clemson cornerback Nate Wiggins, who really shined during preseason, got injured as well, did allow a touchdown in that first game, so it wasn't all flawless and smooth during training camp, but Nate Wiggins took a massive leap from the 2022 to 2023 season while at Clemson, and now he's hoping to take that leap once again to be a star corner with the Ravens. Now, they already have Marlon Humphrey, so it's not like I'm anticipating Wiggins to have to match up against opposing teams' number ones every single game, but he is going to have his footprints on this upcoming season, or at least that is the hope for the Ravens, because if not, I'm not going to say things get dicey for them just yet, but I think that Wiggins could have a very impactful roles for the Ravens this upcoming season. Now, really quickly here, just looking at some of the lines, the Chiefs are favored by 3 in this game, according to ESPN Bet. The total is 46.5. I'm going to probably stay away from the total. My general thoughts on that is that 46.5, I think, is very achievable for the over. Again, 2 great defenses from last year, and there is also the adage that it usually takes offenses a little bit longer to work their way into a rhythm than it does defenses. So I definitely would not definitively say I love the over in this game, but that is probably the direction that I would lean in this. You got 2 teams that are hoping to establish a little bit more of a ground and pound attack this upcoming season, and that is a little bit of the weaknesses, especially as well. You look at the Chiefs, they lost L'Jarius Sneed on the outside, but Willie Gay was also a pretty key member of that Chiefs team last season as well. He is now in New Orleans, so things shaken up a little bit. Ultimately, this line moved. I believe at the beginning of the week, it was the Chiefs by 3.5. Now with it at 3, I really don't feel great about it either way. On Fridays for the remainder of the season, I'll be giving official picks to keep track of throughout the course of the year, so I would not like this one to be on the record for me. But that being said, if I had to go either direction, I think that ultimately, I think I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this game, which I don't feel great about. I think they can cover the 3 ultimately. A spread that small feels like it's going to be they either win or they don't. And, they will cover that 3. But I think that if I had to pick a direction, I would go Chiefs -3. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section, as I want to continue on with this game as well, and I want to talk about the fantasy football implications of this game. So we will be diving into what does this season look like in terms of the red zone splits with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, who is going to get the majority of the rushing touchdowns for them. On the other side, who on the Chiefs can emerge for a solidified second option behind Travis Kelce. We will dive into that and more, but first we will be taking a quick break. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back.